It's my privilege to introduce our first speaker today, Speer from Foot Locker. This one's going to be fun. Everybody settle in, because Casey is a straight talker. So he's going to tell you the truth today. Everybody's got somebody like Casey in your life where you could have a conversation with them and they could listen and nod. And then they could tell you, Pat, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. And Casey would say that because he's just telling you the truth. So everybody buckle up and settle in and welcome Casey Speer from Foot Locker to the stage.
He forgot to push the button. So, first day I walked in, 1,000,000 square feet of conveyor belt and scanners and photo eyes and everything that you see when you watch them build something. When you're watching them make crayons or make anything, we got all of this kind of neat stuff. And I fell in love right there on the spot. That day I knew that college was not for me because it intrigues everything I do. And to this day, 10 years later, I still have the weird ideas. I still have the love for my mechanics and how it all works and all of this stuff. And it has driven, me to where I'm going. So I'm over all of the IT and all of the warehouses in the continental United States for Foot Locker. Top one is the oldest. It was an old Woolworth one that Foot Locker took over. It's 1,000,000 square feet of shoes, and more shoes, and then sweatpants. And the bottom two are our regional locations. The one on the left is the Camp Hill location. It services our East Coast direct-to-consumer people. And the one on the bottom right is our Reno, Nevada location, and it serves everybody West Coast. Those are much, much smaller, and they don't do the store traffic. We get the store traffic out of the Junction City office. This is a story I basically just told you. The love for IT was there originally. It was. I wanted to do it from the start and went to tech school and had a great time. And loved what I did to a point. But then it never really triggered that hands-on getting into it. And that's really what I do now is all about. It's all about not just fixing this or fixing that. It's getting into it and fixing it and enjoying every minute of it. Like I said, a decade down the road, and I'm still excited about what I do. And the Modex booth is an interesting booth for me in 2020. Wandering around Modex, start of COVID, all I needed to do was find an RF gun vendor. I needed a new RF gun. Ours were antiquated, old, and needed to be thrown. And I was looking at all of these new ones, wandered past their booth, and introduced myself and wow, Foot Locker. And one of the salesmen, as persistent as they can be, started following me around, talking to me. And I had literally 5 minutes before gotten off the phone with one of my guys about a bizarre printer problem that we had no answer for. It wasn't. It was unfixable. And so I was trying to figure that out, so I threw it at him. I was like, well, you could help me fix this printer, whatever the question was. I don't even remember anymore. And he goes, okay. And he disappears. And I keep walking. 5 minutes later, he runs up, sticking a phone out in front of him. Here, talk to this guy. I'm like, okay. And sure enough, it was a Barcodes printer expert who I told the problem to, and sure enough, there was a solution. And he gave it to me right there on the phone. And that continued the conversation. Now I'm interested, because he obviously has answers. I had 2 printers sitting on my desk, both of them broken, big old industrial printers. Can I send these to you and have them fixed? Nobody else will fix them. Called all of my other vendors. Nobody else would do it. And he goes, yeah, sure. So set them up as vendors, sent the printers to them, got the printers back, and lo and behold, they worked. Nobody fixes those things. They just kind of go, well, and it just kind of rolls into one of those kind of conversations. And so that started other conversations from there. And the other conversations turned in, I'm looking for RF guns. The guys who are doing them now aren't working with me. I need somebody to work with. So Tim and Pat showed up in Junction City, middle of nowhere, quite literally 2 hours from the center of the continental United States, and brought in a bag of toys for me. All kinds of RF guns, different types, different brands, different models, scanners, ring scanners, all kinds of great stuff. After the conversation, I was like, how long do I get to keep them? How long can we test these? Because that has always been a thorn in our side. You know, you give me an RF gun to test, you give me 2 weeks to test it, and that never works out for us. Timelines just don't work. Yeah, until you're done. Are you sure? Yep, till we're done. Project lasted another 8 months, 9 months, before we finally figured out the ones that we wanted. And in that time, never heard anything about them. They never said, hey, when are you going to get our stuff back? But what we did get was, we want it to do this. Can you make it do this? I can't, but I know a guy. And that was always the answer we've always gotten from them. I know a guy. Yeah, this guy will do that. And we get on the phone, they work through it, they give us what we need, or we have a vendor for that. You need this. And so sure enough, we've gotten all of that stuff. We have had now a huge RF project, replaced all of the RFs in all of the warehouses, Foot Locker wide, with their product, and they repair them for us, and they get them back before you realize that they're gone, which the other ones, the last vendor, in 3, 4, 5 weeks, we were waiting on RF guns to get back. We didn't have enough to spare, so people were sweeping floors, and that never ends well for anybody. So the whole RF project started a relationship with Barcodes that I do cherish, because it saves me an inordinate amount of time. So from that whole story, the other thing is they've never hesitated. When I've come up with some bizarre question, can you make it do? Is there any way to, or whatever really weird thing I've asked, there's always been a solution for it. They've always had a vendor, or no, but we can work on it. And at 3 or 4 phone calls later, they have an option for us, and it has worked out in our favor every time. So that part of the relationship has grown into more and more. Can we get our scanners through you? Can we get our scales? And, we're looking at replacing a scan tunnel with a scaled scan tunnel, and, we've got answers for that. And I get bids, I get quotes, and it all comes back to having one vendor now. Because at the start of this, I had 4 RF gun vendors. None of them knew each other. None of them could give us exactly what we wanted. We were buying them from one company. They were repairing them in another company. We were getting scanners from another company, and it was just awful. Now I've got one. I've got one vendor to control them all, not to get nerdy. But that's the answer to it. That's the answer to what they mean to me at this point, is whether it's weird computer parts that I can't find, scanner parts I can't find, the last 2 Sato print heads on the face of the planet, because we had really old printers, ran out of Sato print heads. Couldn't buy them anywhere. He found 2 of them, got us up and going, and got him, I think, 35 additional printer sales, because we ended up buying the rest of our printers from him as opposed to the company that we were getting them from before, which all worked out in his favor. And I survived the week to get my printers going. So that's the answer that I've got for what does Barcodes mean to me, and how does it make my life easier? Because it is literally one-stop shop for everything that I come to. Having a team of techs that'll help you out. They all have the great answers, great solutions. They have people that can do everything for us. Even if it's not something that we need them to do, they've got people that can do that for us. And what it does is it means they can answer their own questions and give us what we really need, and the answers we really need. So as far as partnership goes, they're my first source for everything we've got. I know I kind of rambled. It's not really my thing, but I do talk a lot. That is my thing. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments, or if you want to know how we're doing, what we're doing, and why we're doing it, just find me, and we will talk all night.